Welcome to Medica Nova Wellness Studio. I'm Dr. Angelika Maria Koch with the educational videos about optimal health and the most innovative and holistic approach to your well-being. So 2 weeks ago, I started the new year with a general video about what it takes to live optimal health. Now for 2020, my intention is to share more inspiring and educational videos with you, but this time more about common physical ailments, which you then can heal with the top natural and effective therapeutic protocols. So let's start with the head, right? While we are working our way all the way down to the tippy toes throughout this year. I've chosen scalp psoriasis. It's a very common ailment. I want to share with you great tips how you can heal this unsightly, often embarrassing and downright irritating skin ailment. So enjoy this video. To stay updated with more ongoing videos, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, share and like it with your friends and family, and have a look at my website, medicanova.net, at the online academy, where you will find fantastic certified home study online courses in homeopathy, homeopathy for birthing life, during pregnancy, integrated mental health, health coaching, quantum healing, and so much more. And if you require a personal health consultation, either for yourself or your children, contact me at health@medicanova.net. I'm happy to help. So let's have a look first what psoriasis in general is all about, especially scalp psoriasis. So the general understanding of psoriasis is that it is a chronic autoimmune skin ailment that causes inflammation and scaling of the skin, and it affects about 3% of the population in the US. But normal healthy skin experiences cell turnover, I would say, about once a month. But when you have psoriasis, the skin cells, they rise way too fast to the surface of the skin and actually pile on top of each other. And that's why we see these patches, these silvery colored patches. The cause of psoriasis isn't really fully known even today, but it's thought to be related to an immune system problem with the cells in the body. More specifically, one key cell is affected, and that's a type of white blood cells called T lymphocytes, or T cell. But normally T cells, they travel throughout the body to detect or fight off like foreign substances, such as a virus or bacteria. So the T cells are soldiers or the police or immune system. But if you have psoriasis, however, the T cells attack healthy skins as well by mistake, because they're just constantly on the go. They think, oh, it's a wound or an infection, and we have to take care of that. So we have an overactive immune system. Overactive T cells trigger, of course, other immune responses. And all these changes then result in an increased production of both healthy skin cells, more T cells even, or the white blood cells. And that is the reason why we have this ongoing cycle in which new skin cells move to the outermost sort of layer of the skin, and in days even, or overnight, rather than weeks. So you wake up in the morning, oops, on your bedsheet is all full of white scales. The dead skin and the white blood cells, they can't slough off, quickly enough and build up in thick and scaly patches on the skin surface. Unless you have a good treatment, this just goes on and goes on for years, right? It won't stop by itself. So what causes the T cells to malfunction in the people with psoriasis, again, is not entirely clear, but researchers found there is a genetic factor involved, and of course today an environmental toxicity factor, because we can't stop that anyway. So conventional psoriasis treatment, they might work, but in my experience, it's really just a band-aid. Maybe the itching gets a little better, but this scaling just keeps happening. In scalp psoriasis, it could appear even as red patches on the back of the head, covered with these thick silvery white scales. In severe cases, I've seen hair loss. It can even sort of go down into the neck as well. Probably the triggering factors of scalp psoriasis, I would say, is cold, dry weather. So during the winter, it's often worse. Definitely stress. If you're worried or have a tendency for depression, anxiety, mental health challenges, absolutely, they're directly connected here. And, also if you're exposed to a lot of drugs, medication, conventional medication like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, of course it can affect your digestive system, and then of course it affects the skin. To confirm a really diagnosis, you have to take a biopsy, or your doctor will take a biopsy and see if that's the case. I just want to throw out a note here that scalp psoriasis is often confused with another condition called seborrheic dermatitis. They look the same, the treatment is even the same, but seborrheic dermatitis is just like a skin disorder. It's not an autoimmune disease, so there's a difference here. Before I give you the gold nuggets and how to treat this all, I want to give you just an overview about the different types of psoriasis so you get a better understanding. The most common one is called plaque psoriasis, and here you see this dried out patches, raised, maybe from the skin. They can be red, they can be itchy, definitely scaling off, and they can be anywhere on the body really, even affecting your genitals or even inside your mouth, right? So look out for that. Then we have the nail psoriasis. As it says, the nails are affected on the fingers, on the toes. There can be deformation. They grow weird in a weird shape. The nails can even lift from the nail bed, and definitely we have this sometimes pitting, like little dots on the nails surface, and just a slow growth, a weird growth coming out. Scalp psoriasis, red itchy areas with silvery white scales. As I said, they can extend beyond the hairline as well, and you maybe notice some flakes, right, of dead skin in your hair or even on your shoulders. And initially you maybe thought, I have dandruff, right? But it's much more than that. You maybe heard about guttate psoriasis. I actually had a patient last week here, and that's usually affects more young adults or children, and it usually is triggered by a bacterial infection like a strep throat. So, my patient was an adult female, but she had it for years, and it came straight after strep throat. Now here we have this marked small sort of water drop shaped sores on usually the trunks, so she had it all around the trunks, but nowhere else. Can be on the arms and the legs, and of course the scalp. It's not as typical, and also you see not so much this thick scales here. It's more sort of thin and sort of just round shaped circular patches maybe. And you maybe have a single outbreak, or it's a repeated episode here. And then we have the inverse psoriasis. That often affects the skin in the armpits, the groins, maybe under the breast, around the genitals. And again, patches of red, irritated and inflamed skin. There may be some fungal proliferation involved as well. And then we have the pustular psoriasis, right? As it says, the little pustules involved, little vesicles involved, which often there's pus in there. And then the erythrodermic psoriasis, again, that you don't see that very often, but it can cover the entire body then, and we have a lot of peeling skin, rashes, the itch and burn, of course, very intently. Now, psoriasis can affect your joints, and then it's called psoriatic arthritis, and here we have the typical arthritic pains. But today I want to just focus on the scalp. So in general, the symptoms are we have plaques, which are patches of red skin. They're sometimes covered with crust of scales. Loose skin or lesions can be very sensitive and itchy, and when you scratch, often it starts to bleed then. There can be dandruff on the scalp as well. But as I say, look out for cracks, discolored skin, and often you can see that then in other parts of the body too. It's not just only focused on the scalp. So you maybe see fingernail deformation, discoloration. Again, the nails maybe start to lift up. And usually, many people with psoriasis also, of course, suffer from emotional problems because it's a really embarrassing situation. You know, they can't go out, and girls have their skirts on in the summer, or even bathing, you know, having a bikini on, a bathing trunk. It's a really big deal. So yes, emotional aspects come in. Sometimes you have the swollen and the stiff joints, but not necessarily. Again, you find it most often on the elbows, the legs, the scalp, lower back, face, palms, soles of the feet, however. And scalp psoriasis, as I said, it's the most common one and affects about 50% of the people who actually have psoriasis, and therefore making the most obvious concerns. The causes, there can be many. So I'm throwing out a little bit because we really don't understand it yet completely. But we talk about an overactive immune system, so autoimmune disorder. And with that directly comes also a weak liver. The liver is just taxed, it's overworked, and it can't detoxify proteins anymore. There may be a difficulty in digesting proteins in the first place. We talk about leaky gut syndrome, right? If your digestive system is compromised. Increased number of the T cells in the blood, in the dermis or the epidermis. Hormonal changes, absolutely. Women who go through perimenopause or menopause, or in general just hormonal changes. Emotional stress, I can't underline more, could 3-4 times, because it really affects the psoriasis condition. Genetics, yes, come in, but I also would say a deficiency of vitamin D. Right? There's definitely research that once you bring in more vitamin D and zinc, for example, you boost up your immune system, the psoriasis is a little bit at bay. So conventional treatment, again, it's often difficult, and most of the time right now you get immunosuppressant drugs. As a healthcare practitioner, it's not going to work in the long run because it's a momentary relief, but it's not going to go to the very core of what you need. Of course, we have the topical ointments and in cream and salves. Other options would be like a light therapy, phototherapy. They do that often. That helps as well. But let's go to the natural solutions. And here we are. We're going to get some practical tips here. And in my experience, a combo of different things, lifestyle changes, diet changes, bring in homeopathy, bringing in the right external applications, you should see some results. So I start, of course, here with the intestines, because studies have shown that there is a direct link between the intestinal structure and the function in the development of psoriasis. Some experts even believe that psoriasis actually is caused by intestinal impermeability. That means leaky gut syndrome, specifically in the area of the duodenum and the jejunum, so just below your stomach. And consequently, therefore, the body seeks to eliminate the toxin through the skin. So a few tips I would say, really stress is on the top of the list here. And here I encourage you to approach life either with meditation, yoga, breathing practices, to just cultivate a more perception and attitude to life with an ease, right? With a less irritating attitude, and just with more grace. There were absolute studies, many studies say, dehydration, bring in more water, Drink more water, really help the skin to slough off all these extra toxins. In fact, soaking in a lukewarm bath containing Dead Sea salt, Epsom salt, or oats, for around 15 minutes really helps to calm down the irritated skin. It takes away the itching and it removes, of course, the scales. Externally, you want to bring in something non-toxic. I always swear like aloe vera gel. But after that, the skin gets a little bit dry, so I would like to follow it up with a cream which contains avocado oil and especially vitamin B12, so look out for that. Now, if you want to have a shampoo, you wash your hair, afterwards rinse your scalp with apple cider vinegar. You can mix it up with a little bit lukewarm water so it's not so stinging on the open sores, but that will help with the pH level as well. You can't get away with psoriasis not having a look at your diet. Most of the time, if you change your diet, you maybe see dramatic results even. Now, leaky gut I mentioned, huge here, especially when you have problems only to partially digest your protein and the fat, because it can seep through the intestinal lining and making their way into your bloodstream and causing these allergic responses. And I said the liver is a big part of it too. Now, if left unrepaired, your digestive system, it can lead to more severe health issues like psoriasis, but also it can go into depression, it can go into anxiety, migraine headaches, muscle pain, chronic fatigue, all of that. So it all starts on your plate, right, and in your gut. So eliminate sugar. Big number one here. I would say wheat, gluten, and dairy. We can start an elimination diet, right? We start with sugar maybe first for 10 days and see if that makes a difference. Then maybe introduce the sugar maybe a little, but most of the time the sugar is really the bad one. And then try it with the gluten and then with the dairy and see if anything aggravates you strongly. Most of the time your bowel flora will be affected, and therefore I would say bring in probiotic foods. Here we talk about organic, raw and fermented food, cultured vegetables for example, to really establish a good bowel flora, good bacteria within your digestive tract. Sort of you have to create a good terrain so you can digest your food very well. Overall, start introducing more fiber into your diet. I would say fruits, vegetables, beans and seeds. And because your immune system is affected here, you want to bring in antioxidants. And with food, you get that with the dark blue, fruits, the blueberries and cilantro, pecans, kidney beans, goji berry, right? You want to bring in high antioxidants. There's enough study out there which tells us that zinc, vitamin A and vitamin D is absolutely important on a regular basis, on a daily basis, to be consumed when you have psoriasis. It's critical for skin healing. Zinc, helps reduce the pain and the joint swelling for psoriasis sufferers, and vitamin E is critical for the general healing of the skin. And vitamin D, the same, has helped and is proven to help psoriasis. You also want to bring in omega-3 fatty acids, fish oil. And here it's not just about, sprinkle your flaxseed over your cereal. I want you to get capsules, oil capsules, omega-3, 6 and 9. So you have fish oil, borage oil, flaxseed oil, all of that. And really double up the doses here. So if I sort of make a summary of supplements or the top supplements you maybe want to have on your kitchen counter, it would be probiotics. I would say 50 billion units daily for sure. Then you want to also bring in hydrochloric acid, and you take that before your main meal. Maybe some have acid reflux, right? You need the HCl anyway, but also it helps the protein digestion very well. You want to bring in also digestive enzymes. They're usually sort of combined out of amylase, it's in your mouth where you need to break down your carbs, lipase, we need the oils to be broken down, and protease for your proteins. You also want to bring in vitamin D3, and I would say 5,000 units a day. Vitamin B12, especially when you're vegetarian or vegan. Don't forget your fish oil. I would say 1,000 to 2,000 grams daily. Herb-wise, I really love turmeric. I just love it. It just works. It's an all-around anti-inflammatory supplement. Zinc, I have already mentioned about it. And because your liver is so affected, bring in some milk thistle and dandelion herbal extract. I would say a dropper morning and evening for the next 3 months, just to sort of give the liver a little break. Externally, if you want to use some essential oils, I love lavender. It's really nice. Some swear of frankincense oil. I haven't had an experience with that, but lavender for sure. It soothes the skin. Externally, I think you should use coconut oil, and then you can make a little sort of paste. You put in maybe 3 drops of lavender essential oil in there, frankincense essential oil, and the base would be coconut oil. So slap it on your skin and let it soak in. It can be quite healing. So my favorite subject, of course, is homeopathic remedies, and the combination between lifestyle changes, dietary changes, introducing supplements on a daily basis, and indicated homeopathic remedies give you a very good chance to break the cycle of this constant slowing of the skin. So, as with my previous featured videos, I don't want to make it too complicated, because when you go to a health food store, you get these rows of homeopathic remedies and you have no idea, what this is all about. So I want to really specify them, eliminate them, only to the top most indicated homeopathic remedies, so it's easier for you to choose them. Now, the magic with homeopathic remedy is all about when you are able to match the correct remedy with your individual symptoms. And that's the key here. So why? Because you're unique, right? And your expression of psoriasis is very different than somebody else's. So look out for your unique key symptoms and then match it up with the remedy. Dosage plan, I would say for adults, take 1 tablet daily, usually in the potency 30. That's the over-the-counter liability sort of potency. You get it in 6 as well, but I think 30 would be good. 1 tablet daily, try it out for a month, and if you're in doubt, of course, contact your healthcare practitioner or contact me at health@medicanova.net. I'm happy to advise you here more, individually. So we talk about a remedy called Arsenicum album 30. It is one of the top remedies indicated for psoriasis. And what you want to look out for is that the skin peels off in large scales. Right? The skin is very dry, it's scaly, it's excessively rough. And the dryness is accompanied with a sensation of extreme burning and itching. And the interesting thing is you think like, I want something cool on it because it's burning, but no, with Arsenicum album it actually gets worse with cold applications, so that's another keynote. You also see alternation between respiratory symptoms and skin ailments. And why is that, you ask yourself? Well, the lungs are directly related to the skin. So if you suppress stuff in your lungs, in this case maybe asthma, it will affect the skin or vice versa. So if you see particular asthma, constant bronchitis, respiratory problems with a combination or alternation with psoriasis, you maybe think about this remedy. Mentally and emotionally, people are very anxious, right? Restless, and that gives it a little bit away too. Followed with a really good remedy, which I can advise you here. It's called Graphite. Again, Graphite 30. Now here, you want to look out again for this excessive dryness and scaling. And Graphite is sort of fit for all psoriasis types remedies. So it could be for various types. It can be the scalp, the guttate, when it comes after strep throat, the inverse one when it's under the armpits, or the nail psoriasis. All of that is really covered by Graphitis. So if you don't know, start with Graphitis. Now in scalp psoriasis, it's mainly used for these psoriatic patches we call over the scalp, and they're itching and burning. And because you feel like you want to scratch, then suddenly you see this honey-like discharges coming out. It's like a sticky crust, right, which starts to happen. That's very, very much Graphitis keynote. Again, you find rough, fine scales, and it can cover a variety of psoriasis types. But even the nails are affected here, right? Discoloration, deformation, and all of that. But look out for these dry scales, which can become a little bit moist as well. So I want to throw in the pot 3 more remedies, which are very indicated for scalp psoriasis. Calcarea carbonica 30 is indicated when you have a tendency to perspire on your scalp a lot, the back of the neck. You see it in children a lot. Also, they affected people that are quite overweight, heavy weight, and definitely this whole skin ailment gets worse with cold weather, wet weather, and I would say there is a sort of general slowness within the person. Right, they're not the fast goers, but they're very methodical in life. They work slow but steady, and as I said, you have this tendency to perspire, and then you have this, of course, white scaly skin. In contrast, you have the remedy Lycopodium 30, and that comes in really when you have affinity to digestive problems. So here you have the bloatedness, the distension, the farting, the burping, you name it, you have it all. It's a liver remedy, and therefore we have all this bloatedness here. Also, the burning sensation and the itching gets much worse towards the latter part of the day. So maybe around 4 o'clock, which is liver time, maybe up to 8 o'clock in the evening. Personality-wise, I could talk here for hours, but I want to keep it short. Lycopodium is the bravado man on the outside with the lack of insecurity and confidence on the inside. You see it more in sort of high-powered positions, CEO positions, right? Inflated ego in the abdomen, we say, they boast a lot, but inside lots and lots of fear of failure. So that even could be the very stress which needs to be addressed in order to really heal from the very core the psoriasis. Then we talked about Graphitis, again, perfect remedy for the scalp psoriasis as well. You have this thick and dry psoriatic patches, but here it can, because of the scratching going on, turn into this sticky honey fluid discharges. So that gives it away with Graphitis. I also want to throw out Sepia 30, a remedy which I have great results with women who are affected by hormonal changes, right? Perimenopause, menopause, or even in general, where you have a personality. It's like a modern day created woman, right? She has a high power job, has to work long hours, and then also has to take care of her family and her 3 kids at home. So it's this juggling idea about holding it all together, but deep down they feel worn out, overwhelmed, really tired. The life force is very depleted, right? And that even can affect them, the psoriasis. I had really great results with women who have these circular patches. It's very clear. It's like a round circle with a sort of ring around the hairline, back of the neck, and the sepia just took it away like nothing. It's really great. But I also looked a little bit at the metaphysical meaning of psoriasis. I talked about stress. What does psoriasis really represent? So I looked into Louise Hay's ideas, and some of you maybe have heard about her, but she was really the pioneer, sort of exploring the metaphysical meaning behind the symptomatology of the body. And with psoriasis, she came about, it's often about fear of being hurt. And that makes sense somehow because the skin is our barrier, to the outside and to the inside. And if you feel sensitive, then you maybe feel of being hurt on all levels. Also, there's a deadening of the senses, particularly of the self. So you don't want to feel anything. And therefore, it leads then into refusing to accept responsibility for your own feelings. Right? So think about that. Just ponder about this idea that if there's anything behind it. So even though, right, you may have this psoriasis problem, and it may be, right, a result of fear of being hurt, deadening the senses of the self, or even refusing to accept responsibility of one's feelings, why not say, I deeply and completely love and approve of myself. And I'm alive to the joys of living, and I deserve and accept the very best in life. Change your attitude, change your frequency inside towards your psoriasis, right? It's hard to befriend it, but this is the key here, right? Don't be a victim, don't become a victim of the psoriasis in itself. Suffering from psoriasis can, of course, leave you feeling embarrassed, downright irritated even. And in the summer, it becomes a real issue with people. Women want to have short skirts or go bathing, and it's a real problem then. And I would say it's not a skin ailment which should be taken lightly because it has such an emotional impact on the affected person. But with natural supplements, the combo of homeopathy, lifestyle changes, really working with your stress levels, as well as bringing in, as I said, herbology, supplements, you will break through this seemingly limited ailment. So psoriasis heals with a combination, as I said, of these shared tips. And if you're not quite sure, don't hold back, contact your healthcare practitioner or contact me at health@medicanova.net. I'm happy to take care with you via the practice Medica Nova. And also you can look through my website medicanova.net and you can reach me through that as well. So for today, take care, much love, and just be kinder to your itching skin. All right.